Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. It is Jackson with Loveless Vintage. No, you did not stumble across a Twin Peaks fan fiction YouTube reading or something like that. I know I have a ton of Twin Peaks memorabilia going on, but it is Twin Peaks Day. It's February 24th, so I just had to show out with all of my incredible Twin Peaks memorabilia, but that is not what this video is about. This video is about Depop. And if you guys are here on the channel right now because I made the Depop is Dead video like 8 months ago, this is kind of just an update with where I'm at with Depop and hopefully getting some insight with you guys on how Depop is going for you guys. Like I said, if you guys are new on the channel, really quick, just a little backstory about me. My name is Jackson. I've been a top seller on Depop for like 2 years now. I've been selling full-time on Depop for 3 years. I have almost 29,000 followers, I think like 6,000 items sold. And yeah, Depop is basically my main source of income. I also sell on Instagram. I have a website, YouTube channel, obviously, which you're on. I have a TikTok, all that stuff like that. But I am a full-time vintage seller and Depop is my main platform. So my last like sit down and talking video that I made about Depop was called Depop is Dead, and it was around 8 months ago when Depop was really bad for me. So my weekly total that I was bringing on Depop was like down 60% for a good few weeks. So I made a video basically just venting about my frustrations and like all the changes going on with Depop and how it negatively impacted me. I'd say maybe like a month or 2 months after I made the video, Depop gradually started getting better. I think it was just kind of like a summer lull. I think it was just a little bit of a slower period and things did start to pick up. But I did want to make a follow-up video kind of talking about the current state of Depop, how it's going for me. And I mainly kind of want to make this video for you guys and see how is Depop doing for you guys, especially new sellers. I want to hear in the year 2022, someone that maybe just got verified or they're on their way to being a top seller. I want to hear what it's like for you guys, if you guys have any frustrations, if it's easy to be a top seller anymore. That's kind of what this video is going to be about. So I'm honestly hoping for a lot of questions in the comments section, and I'll totally do a follow-up video answering questions, or maybe we can all talk about some of the questions. But if at any point in this video you guys have a question, leave it down below. I'll try to respond, and hopefully together we can all kind of talk about the current state of Depop. So that is what this video is about. Top seller tells all about Depop. Let's get into it. So like I said, I want to talk about the current state of Depop, how to grow on Depop or continue growing on Depop, maybe alternatives to selling on Depop if it's really not working out for you. So we're going to cover all of that in this video. I'll try to give you guys some insights, some tips, some tricks, stuff like that. So stick around. If you guys are new here, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. I've been kind of lacking on the Depop content, but I put out thrift content like almost every week now. So I'd appreciate a subscribe and drop a like on this video. So the main thing is Depop still dead? I can say confidently no. Depop has pretty much returned to regular for me, and what I mean by regular is I'm at least making $1,000 in sales on Depop every week. That is obviously before shipping and fees and everything like that, but I basically bring home over $1,000 a week on Depop. I do also sell on Instagram. I sell on Instagram Lives. I have my website, so I do have other forms of income, but Depop is still my main thing. I'm posting on Depop every day. I post 6 items on Depop every day. Over a year ago, I was posting 10 items a day on Depop, and I would strongly recommend, if you can and have enough inventory, to be posting 10 items a day. If you don't, try to at least post like 3 a day, but 6 is kind of my sweet spot with everything else that I have going on in my life. So that's kind of what I do. I post 6 items a day on Depop, and it brings me in at least $1,000 a week, and I'm a verified top seller with 28,000 followers, almost 29,000 followers. So if that gives you some insight, that is kind of what it's like for me currently. When I made the video, I think I was bringing home like $400 to $600 a week for a few weeks. And honestly, a few weeks ago, I did have like a $700 week. It will still happen. And I honestly think that part of that is that the values of vintage are kind of leveling out. So the vintage market during COVID, during 2020, and even into 2021, it was crazy. Prices of everything were super spiked. So I do think that values are kind of finally starting to come back down to reality, which is great for buyers. It's kind of bad for sellers. I would definitely keep your eye on prices of things right now. I've just noticed in Instagram Lives and overall just things have been selling for much lower than they used to. So I feel like inflation is definitely coming down, so that might be affecting sales and overall the amount of money that I used to bring in and other sellers used to bring in. So keep that in mind throughout this video, that I do think vintage prices are kind of correcting themselves a little bit. Also, a lot of people are selling vintage now. A lot of big retailers and like fast fashion outlets are also selling vintage now. So it's becoming more popularized, and as it becomes more popularized and more people get into it and it's a little bit more common and easier to find, I feel like people aren't going to be able to get away with like charging the crazy prices that they do. So is selling on Depop still worth it? As say a new seller in 2022, you want to start a Depop shop, you want to start selling some vintage clothes, sell your own things on Depop. Is it still worth it? This is where I'm going to need you guys to kind of help me out in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from some people that maybe just started selling on Depop. They've been selling on Depop for less than a year. Let me hear from you guys. For me personally, I always recommend Depop to anybody. If they want to start getting in reselling, if they want to sell vintage, even my friends that have a ton of stuff that they're trying to sell out of their personal closets, I always recommend just make a Depop. There's so many new and active users still coming to Depop every day. Like I talked about in my last video, they did get acquired by Etsy, so I definitely think they're going to be pushing a lot of promotion and still trying to get people involved with it. And over these next few years, secondhand clothing is going to just shoot up. The market for it, the audience for it is going to just continue to grow. The used clothing industry is going to keep blowing up, and people are definitely going to continue to move towards buying more secondhand and vintage items. So definitely in the year 2022, I think Depop and selling on Depop is totally still worth it. There's also a lot of factors that go into it, you guys. Posting daily, bumping your items, making sure that your descriptions and your pictures are good. So we'll talk a little bit more about that now. There are constant updates and bugs with Depop, and I did just today, before I decided to record this video, get some insider info. So as I've mentioned in like all of my Depop videos before on this channel, bumping your items is a giant part of Depop, basically refreshing your items so that they go to the top of the search queue. So say someone searches for vintage Harley shirt. If you bumped your item, meaning you like refreshed it like a minute ago, then it would be the first one they saw. Well, this morning I was informed that bumping your items is not really doing the same that it used to. So a bunch of Depop sellers have been a little bit annoyed because they'll bump their item and then go to search for it and they're unable to find it as like the top listing in the search. So what's actually happening is Depop is prioritizing full and good descriptions. So if you have a big description of an item, all of the details, the color, a ton of keywords, stuff like that, that is going to get your item seen more in the search. So say you just like put up a vintage shirt and it's like a shirt with a fish on it and you say vintage fish shirt, your item will definitely not be seen as much as a listing that says like vintage 90s single stitch fish shirt, the colors are blue and purple, blah blah blah. You know, like add as much information to your listings as you can. Use your hashtags, make sure you note any damage anywhere, make sure your pictures are super clear and just bright and attention grabbing. You want attention grabbing pictures and descriptions. I've always said this, try to write full descriptions, and now Depop is prioritizing that over bumping, which bumping your items, refreshing your items used to be like the best thing you could do. So if you guys are a current Depop seller, you're watching this, make sure that you're revising all of your listings to have complete and full descriptions, because Depop is really looking for that now. Other updates on Depop are the layout is constantly kind of being toyed with. I talked about this before, is they kind of will toy with updates, and it felt like at points I was shadow banned. That's because Depop is constantly testing the algorithm. They're testing if this version of the feed is going to work versus this version. I think Depop is constantly trying to change, trying to make things better, but it does kind of affect us sellers negatively when they're kind of like testing all of that out. And it's basically our job to be making these sales, and it kind of affects us. That is kind of one of the more annoying things with Depop, is it seems to affect a lot of sellers that they're constantly trying to fix these bugs or layouts and stuff like that. There are still bugs on Depop that I talked about in my last video that are still relevant. I think one of the most annoying bugs that's been happening right now, I'm not sure if it's just me, you guys will have to let me know. Whenever I go outside of Depop to go on like another app, like say I go to Instagram and go back to Depop, it doesn't like load. It takes like 30 seconds for me to like load, to be able to type anything, to be able to go to a different page. It's basically really laggy, and hopefully that's just a bug right now and they'll get that fixed. But there are still a lot of bugs on Depop. There was a notification bug where you couldn't see past like 20 of your notifications, and they didn't fix that for like a handful of weeks. So Depop is definitely not perfect. They are constantly working on it with a ton of bugs and a ton of layout changes and stuff like that. So if you are getting into selling on Depop, just know that it's not like they do a giant update a year and then they're kind of done with it. They're constantly tweaking it. Another giant thing that happened on Depop a few months ago is offers. So now on Depop, there is an offer button next to the buy button on any item you could go and look at. So you want to go and buy something, it's $25. There's going to be an offer button right next to it. I think this is a good thing. I think that they could definitely improve on it, and one of the things I think they could do to improve on it is by making offers binding. Now, there are other apps that do have binding offers. There are other apps that don't have binding offers but do have offers. I think offers overall are definitely a great thing. They allow the buyer to try to get something at a better deal. They allow the seller to decide, hey, do I want to let this item go for a little bit less and make the sale right now? So I do think it is a really cool feature. I'm so glad that they actually have offers now, but I really do hope that they move to binding offers, because I can't tell you guys how many offers I've accepted and they have never paid. And that's fine, I get it, it's kind of the way it goes, but it is just kind of annoying thinking that you could potentially have a sale and then you don't get the sale. With binding offers, when you send your offer, as soon as the seller accepts it, the money will come out of your bank account. It is paid for. It's like if you would have just pressed the buy button. So I do kind of hope that Depop toys around with that. I do also hope that Depop allows sellers the option of turning off offers. I personally would always keep offers on, and like I said, I hope they would be binding, but I do know a lot of sellers that get constantly lowballed, they get trolled with it, so I really do hope they give sellers the opportunity to decide if they want offers or not. Kind of like on eBay, you can decide if you want to have offers on an item or not, but overall I think offers on Depop are a huge step in the right direction. I'm really stoked that they have them. I just wish that they were binding, or that people would follow through on them, or people couldn't offer you like more than 50%. I know on Mercari, I think it's people can't offer you more than like 30% off or something. That would be really cool too, because I can't count the amount of times I've had an item up for $100 and I literally get like $1 offer as a joke. Like, you're so funny, we get it. So that is another huge thing that has happened on Depop since I made my Depop is dead video, and I think that's definitely progressed the app and definitely helped a lot of sellers get some more sales, so I'm super thankful for that. Let's talk about engagement on Depop compared to my last video, and basically compared to what I talked about in my last video. So my engagement overall on Depop is still very low, and when I say very low, what I'm comparing it to is like 2019 engagement. So if any of you guys were selling on Depop in 2019, you were on your way to becoming a top seller, you were a top seller, you would know that you would go to bed and you'd wake up with like 400 plus notifications sometimes. I feel like people were just liking items way more, getting way more followers back then, and now I'll go to bed, you know, sleep 8 hours, and I'll wake up with like 50 notifications. It was kind of just like that in my Depop is dead video. I do think overall engagement is way down on Depop, people liking items, people following you. Maybe it's just because I've kind of plateaued as a seller. You guys can let me know if it's kind of the same for you. But yeah, overall likes and everything are still kind of pretty down on Depop compared to what they used to be when I was like first starting to sell on Depop, and I felt like Depop was kind of like popping off. Also, back on Depop in 2019, I used to get like 10 to 12 sales a day. That'd be normal. I feel like my average a day now is like 6 sales, but my price of item has increased. I'm no longer selling many like $15 ship shirts on Depop, so it all kind of evens out with how much I'm making. I'm definitely selling way less than I used to like 2 to 3 years ago. So now I think I'm gonna get into some quick tips for you guys just on maintaining a good Depop shop. I have talked about most of these things in my other videos. If you guys have any questions, again, let me know in the comments below, but I'll just give you guys some quick tips for either if you want to get started selling on Depop, if you want to be making more sales on Depop right now. These are just basically my basic things that I always tell people. And the first one is always going to be stay consistent. And by stay consistent, I mean continue listing every day, bump your items, although it doesn't matter as much anymore. So let's say have full descriptions, have really, really good pictures, and just engage with the app. I've always said be active on the app, be posting daily. I cannot stress it enough. Even if you post an item or two every day, post every day on Depop. Stay consistent is my number one thing. Number two, I basically already said it, is have full descriptions, have good pictures. So just make sure that your shop is looking quality. I can leave a scrolling video right here of an example of what my shop looks like. I do use the Bazaar app, which I have a video on my channel about. I'll leave a little thumbnail right here. I have a video about this app that I use for background removal, just so everything on my page looks very colorful and bright, and it's all kind of like eye-grabbing and attention-grabbing. Something else that works really well on Depop is just flat lays. You can use a blanket, you can go outside, you can use a white sheet, anything like that, but just do clean, simple flat lays if you don't want to model your items. But I still model almost all of my items unless I can't fit it or I'm like having a really lazy day. But modeling your items does definitely helps get you on the Explore page. I think it just helps people see it better, how it would actually fit on somebody. quality. So modeling your items, if you're able to, is definitely something that I still recommend doing. Another few things on maintaining a good Depop shop is obviously having good shipping time. I ship out everything next day, not saying you guys have to, but if you guys look at my reviews, like almost all of my reviews mention my fast shipping, and it's something I can always tell people too when they message me and they're like, how long is this gonna take? How fast do you ship? I normally just tell people, look at my reviews, because almost all of them are like, such a fast shipper, like I got it so quick, shipping is great. Definitely be shipping at least, I'd say, every other day. Have your shipping time in your bio. When somebody buys something from you, message them, say thank you, let them know when it will ship. Just make sure you have good communication with your buyers. Make sure that you thank your buyers, be nice to your buyers. It's just simple things, you guys. If you're running a business, if you're trying to have a successful shop, it's just simple things like being nice to people, having good communication, and just basically wanting to establish that business connection, because you guys never know, someone could buy a $20 item and then 2 weeks later come back and spend like $200 with you. You never know. You could make like a lifetime client, a lifetime buyer, something like that. So it's definitely happened with me. I definitely have people that buy from me almost every week. I have people that spend a lot of money with me on Depop just because of my service and everything like that. So if you're gonna want to do it and you want to do it full-time, part-time, whatever, just make sure that you're in it for the right reasons. So let's talk about alternatives to selling on Depop. Obviously, there's eBay, Mercari, Poshmark, all that stuff. I barely sell on anything else besides Depop. I have like 10 items on eBay, mostly higher price stuff. I do not sell on Mercari. I do not sell on Poshmark, nothing like that. But I feel like some of the best alternatives to selling on Depop right now, some of the funnest ones, some of the ones that are just the quickest, are gonna be selling on Instagram Live or selling on Whatnot. I'll talk about Instagram Live in a second, but I'm super excited about Whatnot. And Whatnot, if you somehow see this video, please reach out to me. Please get back to me. I've been trying to get on Whatnot to sell. I feel like they hit me up like a year ago and it just didn't sound like a thing that was gonna happen. So I was kind of like, I don't know what this is. And now you guys, you need to download Whatnot and check it out. They have a vintage and thrift category and it's all live selling. So it's like you go into an app and whenever people are selling, it's gonna be live, but there is no lag. So Instagram Live, there's always a lag. There's no lag. And when you're bidding on something, you actually have your payment info like already put in. So when you win the bid, it comes out of your account already. It's paid for. And that's awesome for sellers because you don't have to worry about chasing someone down for a payment. You don't have to worry about like if they're gonna pay. Like once they win the auction, they pay. I am not on Whatnot yet. I am not selling on Whatnot yet, but I have been addicted to watching Whatnot. So if you guys can apply for Whatnot, I feel like that's gonna be the next wave of selling. I feel like live selling has always been really fun and entertaining. So I definitely think this past like 2 years during COVID, live selling has become a really big thing, especially on Instagram. So now you'll see these other apps like Whatnot and Pop Shop kind of like branching out and doing their own thing with selling vintage on a live platform. So if you guys are interested in that, I would definitely try to sign up for Whatnot. Another thing that I mentioned is Instagram Live selling. So I host Instagram Lives on Wednesdays. I am mainly focused on like cheaper claims or things that people would sell on Depop, other resellers could flip, or really good deals and fair prices that would just sell to a general audience that's interested in vintage. So I am always booking sets. If you guys want to book like a 20-minute set, 40-minute set, an hour-long set with me and come on and just do claims. And what I mean by claims is like, say this shirt that I have on my back is for sale and it's $10. You would just say, claim this shirt, $10, and then the first person in the chat that claims the item for $10, they pay for it. So in like a 20 to 40 minute set, you guys could sell like potentially 30 to 60 items, and it's right there, all in the live. People pay after the live. So compared to Depop of doing all the work of listing your items, waiting for them to sell, all that, it's kind of just a faster way to just sell your items. So I do host lives. There are a ton of other people on Instagram Live that do host lives. If you guys want to do auctions, if you guys want to do claims with other people, definitely follow the People's Flea page, which is me and my 2 other friends that do host live auctions. I can definitely point you guys in the direction of other people that sell on Instagram Live. I think that is definitely the wave. I think live selling is the wave within vintage. So if your Depop sales are kind of lacking, maybe you have a lot of high priced items, or just say you have like 500 like low tier items, you can always hit me up, book a set. You can book a set with someone else and try to sell that stuff right now. Try to just get it gone. So I think the alternatives to Depop, obviously there's other apps you guys can try. You can try Cross cross-listing all your stuff, or you can kind of sell it like right in the moment on lives with Instagram, with Whatnot, with Pop Shop, stuff like that. If you guys are trying to grow an Instagram vintage account too, it's definitely the best way to get your followers up and grow your account that way. So I highly recommend doing something like that. So we're getting towards the end of the video now, and in my notes, like kind of one of the last things I have is advice or review for getting into selling on Depop 2022. I kind of already went through that, and it's kind of more up to you guys. Like I said earlier in the video, I definitely want to hear from you guys. What is it like selling on Depop in 2022? If you guys have been a long time seller on Depop, how are your sales doing? How is your shop's engagement doing? I want to hear from you guys. Like I said earlier in the video, I think it is totally still worth it to make a Depop shop, to be selling on Depop. It is definitely still my favorite selling app to sell on. I love Depop. It'll always have a piece of my heart. It's what kind of got me to kick myself into going into reselling full time. It's what allowed me to be able to do that. So I do, deep down in my core, love Depop. I love all that it's provided for me. So I want to hear from you guys. What is Depop like in 2022 for you guys? Hopefully this video was helpful and I didn't ramble too much. It's probably a little bit longer of a video. If you guys want to see any other Depop content from me, like I said, I can do responses to some of the questions. Drop down in the comments. I can always do another like how much do I make on Depop in a week video. I think I've only done one of those on my videos. If you guys want to see another like what sold video, like what sold on Depop, let me know, because those videos are pretty fun to make and I think I've only made one. So let me know if you guys want to see something like that. Any questions, please drop them down below. Good luck everybody out there if you're trying to get into selling on Depop. If you're still selling on Depop currently and you're a full-time seller and you're going through it, just know that we have all been there and there's always ups and downs within any type of job that you have, but as long as you're confident and happy with what you're doing, it'll turn out okay. So that's where I'm going to end the video. That's my last little advice to you guys. So I appreciate you guys watching. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed. Drop a like on this video. Follow me on Instagram. I'll leave my Instagram up here really quick. And I love all you guys. Appreciate you guys. This is Jackson with Loveless Vintage. Peace out.